Jack! Talk to me, Jack! Jack! Boink. Welcome back to Andy's MG Adventures, where today we're going back to basics. Stuart Buchanan dropped me a comment on one of the earlier videos and said, what about doing a video about how to jack the car up so you can work safely underneath it for us newbies? So, guess what we're doing today? Oh, my knees! Look, I brought some friends along. Knocking on the door of 40. This one in particular. So, let's crack on with it.
Whoa! We're not ready just yet. Here's a disclaimer.
Let's get serious for a moment. I can't see you without these on. First thing to say, I am not a qualified mechanic. I've been watching videos from people like John Twist, who should be knighted in my opinion, and my father-in-law Dave, and some books, and I'm trying to do the best I can. But I am not liable for anything that you might be doing. I'm just trying to help out. That's my bottom covered now. The second thing to say is never work under the car without extra support. Never rely on just the jack, okay? These are old cars, things can go snap, and I value my face, you value your face, and the bones, etc. that go with it. So I'm just telling you, stay safe, people. Now it's time to get back to the action. Let's go. Okay, now that the serious bit is over and done with, let's crack on. Here are a variety of ways that you can get your midget off the ground. Some of them you'll need to use together in a combination of delight. I'm just going to quickly run through them and then show you how to use them all. This is the original jack that came with the car. This bit pops up and this slots into the side skirt where that little rubber bung is, and then you thread it up and down up here. Don't use this, your seal might be duff. I don't want you to see you break your midget. Don't use it, but it's nice to have because it's original. Bottle jack, nice little bit of kit, compact, easy to carry around in the boot of the car. However, look at the height of it. That's no good, is it? I mean, those of us who own midgets know how low the car actually sits to the ground. I've not been able to use this yet. So, hello old friend. The scissor jack. This compact beauty is very easy to use. Threaded eyelet, use this little doohickey here. Twist, 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 up it comes. This is the one I use all the time and I always carry around in the car. It's low enough to keep underneath the wheel when you're changing the wheel. I like this one. Your bog standard Halford Special Trolley Jack. You'll see these on offer. This one I use a lot in tandem with the next one, which I think this one's getting a bit of a complex because look at the size difference. It's all right. Shh, 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 shh. Operates in a similar fashion to the bottle jack. Get a little lever in there and just get chucking it away. And then to let it down, there's this little notch here. Twist it anti-clockwise, down she comes. Make sure you tighten that back up. We'll talk about that later. Useful bit of kit, but also still not very low. As you can tell, this is still higher. No good if you want to get under those tight spots in the midget. So, the last jack. Hello, my friend. Oh. This is the 2.5 ton SGS low profile trolley jack. And my father-in-law Dave, if you remember Dave, let's take a look at Dave.
Say hi, Dave.
Hi, Dave.
What a man. Anyway, he recommended this to me and I can see why. It is so shallow that you can get this under pretty much any part of the midget. And because it maintains its low profile, you can get deep into the midget. That sounded wrong. Deep into the midget? I apologize. Anyway, now the important bit. Right. Breakfast. You can use a jack to raise the car up. You can also use these puppies. These are ramps. These are absolutely terrific for getting the car up a decent height off the ground, and you can do most things with the car on the ramps. But the most important thing to talk about here, oh God, sorry Margot, are these. I've actually got 4 of these. In America, they're called jack stands. In England, they're called axle stands. I have 4 of these. They are imperative. If you are working under the car for any amount of time, I'm going to let my serious note come back, you need to support the car properly. Otherwise, the trolley jack might give up. These puppies could save your life. I'm not joking. And once you've got the car up, it takes 2 seconds to put these underneath. You might wonder why I've got carpet with them. That's because when they're pressing up to the underside of the car, I like to have something between the car. So I've got this really tough, high weaved carpet, which just stops these teeth digging too much into the underseal of the car. It's personal preference. So that's all of them. I think we now demonstrate. Let's start with the one I told you not to use. This is the original jack that came with the car, and this is the rubber bung. You can just see that you can pull out, slot this in, and then start twiddling away. But do you see those ripples in the sill? I'm not stupid. I know that that is not going to hold the weight of the car. Cheerio, original jack. Now it's time to jack the car for the first time. And what better to start with, attempting to change a wheel. The type of jack I'm going to be using for just doing these front wheels, either or, is the scissor jack, my old friend. Chuck this underneath the wishbone where the spring seats are on the front suspension. So let's start. First of all, loosen your wheel nuts. Now that these chinchillas are loose, it's time to put this gibbon underneath that wishbone and start jacking her up. Right, here's Margot. We're at the front of the car. You'll also notice I brought one of these. A block of wood. Not too big. Basically, this is because you'll see the profile of this is actually quite small. And there aren't a lot of nice, big, flat surfaces on the Midget to jack from. So we put this on top of this against the wishbone assembly and then start to jack. This, where the springs come down, this bit here is called the wishbone assembly. Now underneath, I can just show you, you can see those 4 bolts. We're going to put the bit of wood up against that, like that, you see? Nice and flush. And then jack this up to meet it. I'm going to start by keeping it nice and central, that's quite important. Make sure it's in line with the centre of the wood and the centre of where you're jacking from. Okay, oh right, now you use this doohickey here, if I move the light, in this eyelet here. Okay, that looks to be doing well. Let's have a look from the front. And all you need is the tyre to come a small amount off the ground. Enough, there you go, that's it. Now, she spins. You can take these off. And then the wheel will come off. You can see, daylight. That's how it's jacked. Nice and straightforward. Then to do it in reverse, we twist this anti-clockwise. Now, whenever you're lowering a car on the jack, you need to be so careful. Do it slowly, controlled. The last thing you want is anything slipping, this falling on something it shouldn't. Just take care.
Whilst I prefer to use a scissor jack, if your trolley fits under here, then go nuts.
And she's down. So that's how you do the front.
Next, it's the rear wheel.
Now, you could try mounting under the suspension where the U-bolts meet the base plate that sort of holds all the suspension together. But I've never done that. I don't know why. I've always gone with the front mounting point for the rear leaf springs. It's a really strong point of contact. That's the plate we're looking for. This one here. There we go, daylight under the tyre. Easy to do. And the wood neatly under that mounting point. And then we'll do the reverse to let it down nice and gently. And she's down.
Time for a crash course in trolley jacks.
Here's how you use this chinchilla. Essentially, trolley jacks work in the same way. You have a plate here. This is what raises from the pivot point here. This will come up, and this bit will move to meet the face of whatever you're jacking on. You can go metal to metal. In this instance, we're going to be going with a bit of wood across, and I'll show you why. But essentially, you pump up, well, forwards and backwards on this lever. It will start to raise up. And then when you want it to come down on this jack, you twist anti-clockwise with your hands on the pole, and it raises down. Some will have a little nut or a bolt or a lug that you put this pole into and twist anti-clockwise, and that lowers it as well. Most important thing to note is when you do that, either case, tighten it back up again. Otherwise, you'll be jacking and it bypasses how much it can jack. So don't do that. Tighten it up at the end of every use as well. Then you're ready to go. Let's give it a whirl. This is the low profile trolley jack, which I use for pretty much all my main lifting when I'm working on the car in the garage. I'm also going to use it in combination with this. And you'll see it's labelled cross-member jack. Cross-member jack. Now, I will show you underneath the car in a moment, but basically between the chassis rails, there is a solid piece of metal where everyone just jacks away at. Now you'll see when you get under the car, people have done that without taking extra precautions. That bit of metal has become not true and quite dented. This is going to go between those chassis rails under the car, whilst this goes up to meet it. Shall we give it a go? Let me show you where we're going to jack from first. So we're underneath the car now. You see the anti-roll bar right in front of you, really helpful. There's a chassis rail over there. Bottom, there's a chassis rail here. And in between is this piece of metal that is completely undulated. We're going to put a bit of wood between those two bits and jack her up. Wood onto the plate where the car will jack from. A little bit more, there we go. Contact. Now, you can see the wood is now starting to bite onto the metal. I'm going to start pumping the lever. Gently does it at first, make sure nothing slips. You can start to hear a few creaks and groans, that's fine. If I can just show you, we've got bites on that side, got bites on the other, and you can see the wood is holding its strength for the moment, and the car is starting to come up. I'll just back you off a bit, you'll be able to see. Looking really good. We've got daylight under this wheel, daylight under the other, and there you go. That is how you jack with this. To undo this jack, you simply twist the pole anti-clockwise. There you go. So we've done all the other jacking. It's now time to raise the whole car off the ground so we can work on it. That's going to mean using the ramps, axle stands, and a trolley jack. It's the crescendo we've all been waiting for. So the problem with these type of ramps is that they are metal, and when metal is on concrete, they can slide, especially when the car is moving up them. It just pushes them out of the way. So Dave recommended making a frame, much like this, you can see, just out of 2x4. These go down there against the back wall, this flush bit, and then these will sit against the bits of wood. When the forward momentum is applied, they'll butt up against that wood, butt up against the wall, and we should go up nice and neatly. I will stress to you now, this should have someone watching you do it if it's the first time. You do not want to be coming off these. Now that she's up on the ramps, whoa. I've chocked the rear wheels just because for the moment, even though the handbrake's on, I don't want her rolling away anywhere. The next step is to use the big jack over there and to jack up the rear and then put the axle stands underneath. We're going to need the meaty low profile trolley jack, because what we've got to do is get under here and try and find the nut on the rear differential. Now, can you see? It's that puppy. That is what we need to jack up from. Now, there are some people that don't think that's the way to do it, to use a block of wood, to not jack from there at all. However, I've done this numerous times and it's been fine. In comes the trolley jack. Keep trying to find that locating point. And then start to jack it. Gentle pumps, and then when you're starting to get close to the top, stop and have a good old look. We don't want to do this wrong. I'm going to come around the back of the car and see if that's looking central. So the car is now sizably raised off the floor, and it's now time to look at where we can safely put these bad boys to stop the car from rolling away or falling off whilst we work on it. We don't want to be resting solely on that jack and that nut on the differential. So where can we put them? Well, I would use 4 axle stands personally. I would put one on either side of the car where the rear leaf springs meet the mounting plate that we did before. We try and put an axle stand around there, and then we're also going to put one on the axle itself, which you can see that shaft going across from the differential just behind the shock there. We're going to put 2 under there either side, and then let the tension off the jack and just see how she settles down. One under here. So the most important thing, now we're about to lower it. We've got axle stands in all 4 corners. When you're lowering it, make sure it guides on to these axle stands properly. So we'll be checking around, and I'll touch base with you when it's all lowered, but now we slowly lower it onto all those 4 points, knowing that the front is also safely up on the ramps. So now you can see there's daylight between the jack and the bottom of the differential, and we've got an axle stand underneath the axle there, an axle stand underneath the axle there, and we've got an axle stand right in the leaf spring mount where we had it before. So the car is now fully supported, and you can do all the work you want to do on her. Now it's time to get her down and sum this baby up. Oh, I'm exhausted. So there you go. Those are all the ways I currently jack up my MG Midget. You can do the same if you wish. I hope it's been helpful. If it hasn't, please feel free to hit subscribe, comment below, and tell me where I went wrong to help everyone else. But I think I'm doing okay. She hasn't whinged yet. Anyway, hope to see you soon. Lots of love and hugs to all of you. Bye.